Here we go. We're here.
Are we up?
Oh yeah.
Yo, what's
Oh
up?
yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of Better Than Cable. We got DJ Bobby being here, and we got me and myself, the hacker. And we're just talking. Everyone else is out, so it's just us two. And I think we're gonna talk about the moon, right, Bobby? We're
Yeah.
talking
Why
about the moon
not?
today.
Why not? I always forget you cannot hear the air horn as well. So
Oh, that's what
yeah,
you actually pressed it. I was like,
I've been pressing
I
it
totally
consistently
missed
for
that.
like weeks.
Yeah, no, I
Yep.
totally missed
Just
all
then.
of those. Um,
That
but
one. That one was badly timed. I had to look down. I had to look at where it was. I wasn't prepared.
it was a little
But
delayed.
but yeah, we were gonna chat a little bit about the moon. Like, why haven't we
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
back? What happened?
yeah.
Where's all the
Uh,
rockets?
dude, I remember that I was reading something where they actually like forgot bits and pieces of like how they built those Apollo rockets. So it's not even like they don't even have like a full blueprint on like okay, this is
It's
like how we completely build the Apollo rocket.
it's not that. I wouldn't say they
It's not that.
forgot how they did it.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing to do it the way they did it. They were all like hand built. And they were
Mm,
hand
yeah. Yeah.
built using processes that like people aren't trained on anymore because people don't work with their hands
Yeah.
as much. And
That's
there
what it is.
aren't
Yeah.
machines to replicate those processes. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
certain stuff that they just can't make with modern machining or can't
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
same way. Um, and then I think it's also like there's other stuff that there's no point in making it the same way. Like they
Mhm.
handmade the computer RAM from little
Yeah.
rings and
Yeah.
copper wire. And they made people sit and do that, which is ridiculous. But
Crazy. And I mean, all the code was handwritten too, wasn't it? Like initially, and then it got like typed out and printed
oh, I'm
later.
sure it was. Yeah,
I think, I think at that time were they still using? I think there's one lady that like wrote like 90% of the code, for
I
their
didn't
rockets.
see that.
Can't remember.
I don't know that stat
Did they
off the
use
top
like
of
did
my
they use
head.
like punch holes back then too? Can't remember.
To program,
Yeah.
it was punch holes or something black and white. I don't know if they manually programmed them either. To be honest, I'm not super caught up on how they programmed it, but I've seen the computer a few times. And it's kind of ridiculous how giant and hand built it is, and that
Yeah, it was
hand built
Margaret
computer
Hamilton.
survived a rocket launch.
Yeah. It was Margaret Hamilton.
Yeah, no, there's a show.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen the show either,
The lady
or it might be
credited
a
with
movie.
leading the development of the onboard flight software.
Yeah,
Yeah, so she was the lady. I think yeah, I think somehow like she wrote like most of the code by hand, like some ridiculous.
yeah.
Like that's crazy, dude. Like I remember in college I had to write code by hand, and that was a nightmare, dude. And I
I
was just writing
never
like
wrote code by
like three,
hand.
four loops.
I
Um,
I actually think I have written it out before like tests, but
yeah.
if
No, dude, our classes were garbage, dude. Like a lot of the code we had to write out by hand. Like this would like we'd basically have to like test it on the computer and then like rewrite it out like for our homework. And then on the exam, you just had to straight up just write code.
yeah.
Like you couldn't run it
No,
anything.
because
You just
if
had to
you
write the right code.
write it on a computer, you'll just write it 10
Yeah.
times and then it'll be right. But they wanted you to know how to do it right the first time.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, dude. It's
Well,
like
I mean,
who's
I think
writing
it's
that
pretty
code?
fair.
I mean, it's fair, but it's like, dude, come
It
on.
makes you better at the thing.
Man,
Not that
I
I
did
wouldn't have
research.
been complaining if I was in that class, but I understand the
No,
merit of it.
it makes sense, but it was garbage, dude. It's like
Yeah,
sometimes we have to write out long ass functions too, like
4 pages.
yeah. I mean not 4 pages, but like the entire page type of shit. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely been a bunch of those programs. I think like we had to do like Huffman encoding.
No.
Do you know about that? It's like basically like this compression algorithm. It's like a classic compression algorithm. Um, but like we had to like write a key piece of it, like completely out by hand, and it's like that was like just some shit. Like you just gotta memorize it and like regurgitate it, you know. Um, but this lady was writing real code, like production code, basically. And dude, the crazier part about that stuff is like that you just got one shot. You have to make sure it's like completely perfect, and you just got one shot with it. You know, like that's the crazier
I
part where
mean, but they
is
were
that rough.
testing the code with like
Yeah.
simulations and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure,
But
but like simulation is never real life, you know, especially for rockets,
no,
right? Like
but you also got
based
to
on like
keep
how
in
many rockets
mind
blow
like
up.
it had to work, but it was the
Yeah.
simplest it could be, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's a minimum viable product, but it's like that's still a lot of pressure, I feel like.
Oh
It's like on
no,
the
I mean
first
I
one.
think it was too, but it was people figuring out
Yeah.
how to do stuff for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even everything with that program didn't really go perfectly. Like there were multiple flights with issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it
Multiple
was
blow
a cool time and then we just gave up our ability to go to the moon. And now we haven't
Yeah.
been back since. And we've got the Artemis program now, but it looks like that's just getting pushed further and further off. So we aren't
Yeah.
going back, or at least not for the time being. To be
Yeah.
honest, I don't know. The rockets that were supposed to take people there aren't looking so good at the moment either. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a while before we go back, if we do end up going back at any point soon.
No, we're definitely not going to Mars anytime soon. I feel like Mars is like if we're gonna send people there, it's gonna take maybe like
Well,
20 years.
I meant the moon.
Oh, you meant the
I
moon.
was talking about the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, but even the moon, yeah, even the moon. That how long do you think it's gonna take for us to go back to the moon?
Well, so that's what Project Artemis was. And we were
Yeah,
supposed to be back on the moon. I think originally it was like 2023, and then it got pushed to 25. But Artemis is also kind of based around SLS and Starship. Like
yeah,
those are the
yeah,
two rockets that are supposed to be used to do everything for that mission. And the SLS has one clean flight, but the capsule for it is horrible.
yeah,
The Boeing Starliner doesn't work. And then
yeah.
Starship
Wait,
just keeps
that was
blowing
the
up now.
was the that Boeing Starliner was that failed Boeing project in the first place, right?
What do you
That
mean
was the one or
failed Boeing pro? It's not like failed. It's just
yeah,
so like the most recent time it took people to space, they had to
yeah.
wait at the space station and it went home alone because they were too nervous about sending people back through reentry in it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And like the first
Oh, dude.
time they
Yeah,
launched it for its test
yeah.
flight, all the thrusters started going crazy and they had to kill it. And
Wild, dude. That's like another fall off of Boeing, man. Like,
oh, there's been
can't
so
trust them
many.
with anything.
There's been so many. But yeah, so that's all delaying that project, which
Yeah,
I also think funding's getting pulled again.
yeah.
So I don't know if we're actually going back. But I mean, what do you think the merits would be if we could go back? What do you think we're going to find there or do? I mean, I don't see it being much more than like I don't even know if we'd end up with something permanent on this on the moon at this point. I feel like that's a little out of
Like a
our
moon
depth.
base.
Yeah. I don't see
Yeah,
how they'd
dude.
ever bring something there to be
A
a
moon base
permanent
would be
structure.
cool.
But how do you get anything there to do it?
Yeah, that's like when you need like some kind of like. I mean, it would just be like a giant like it'd be like the International Space Station just like lands permanently type of shit.
No, yeah, but
That
that's the problem,
and
right?
that was
Because
built
you
in
have
space.
to
Like,
well, so the International Space Station went up as a bunch of modules that would fit into
yeah,
smaller rockets, and
yeah,
they're all connected.
yeah,
Um, so you could do something like that, but the issue is the International Space Station worked because we could take those up and we never had to land them. To get them to the surface of the moon, you have to land them. So yeah, we could probably get them there in orbit of the moon, but how are you going to land something like that?
I don't know, man. It's
Th-
like
That's kind
they
of the
have to come
point
up with
of
like
the moon
yeah,
starship. Like it's supposed to have a huge cargo bay and stuff.
they could they could do something like a transformer, like where they send multiple rockets and then they all just combine once they're on the ground.
Well, have you seen the moon version of Starship?
Uh, no, no.
Go look it up. It's like totally different. It has a different door and it has like a giant, I want to say like 200-foot crane elevator to be able
Yeah.
to move stuff from the cargo bay down to the surface of the moon. So I want to say it was NASA. I think it was NASA. Picked Starship as
I
the
see this.
primary
Yeah.
lander for the Artemis
And
project.
it shoots out like little robots, right? Like little rovers going around type of thing.
Well, it's just for anything, any
Yeah.
payload you want to put in there. You could put a
Oh,
rover on there. You could put like other equipment stuff and lower it down.
yeah.
People can use it. But that's the official lander for Artemis project. So even if SLS is working and they can launch the space station and stuff for it, they still have to wait for Starship for them to have a lander. And Starship's just been blowing up recently. I don't know if you've seen that. But the
Yeah,
last
no, I
three
think I
or
saw
four
that.
flights of Starship
Yeah.
blew up before it reached orbit.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. It's kind of crazy how they're having such a hard time like making this consistent even though we've known the physics for over how many years now? Like
Well, the
over
physics isn't the problem necessarily. It's the engineering to make the physics work.
yeah, yeah. It's like I guess like the um basically like the engineering should have like caught up by now. It's like it's insane
But
how
that
long
was
it's
the
been
whole
taking.
thing, right? That
I
I
guess maybe
guess
it's like the funding cuts
I
from,
feel
way
like
back.
that's the reason for this conversation almost. Because
Yeah.
we are like years and years behind where I think we should be. But after they cut Apollo, and there was
Yeah.
no reason to go back to the moon, a lot of research into space and aerospace fell off, and people weren't
Mhm.
looking into it as much.
Yeah.
So then there's no one researching it, finding out things, actually being able to build practical prototypes. That's kind of all come back in the last 10 or 15 years. So now we are getting that advancement, but it just needs to catch up to everything else because it had so long without anyone looking at it. But rockets are hard anyway. Like you're playing on the edge of every material science, you know?
Yeah.
Everything could go wrong. Anything can melt if it gets like a couple
Yeah.
degrees over temperature. If one gasket breaks on a fuel line, you're now flying a bomb that's going to blow up at some point. Like the pressures involved are crazy too.
Yeah.
Like if you have a little leak or even a small pressure vessel fails, it's going to be explosive. And
Yeah.
you are playing at like the limit of everything we know.
Yeah, no, I mean basically like the main issue is like getting out of the atmosphere, right? Basically. And it's like
Well,
they
getting
keep
up is
shooting
actually the
them
easy
still,
part for most
you know?
rockets.
Yeah.
So getting up is usually the easy part. Getting back is the hard part. You basically have to endure the temperature of the sun for an extended
Yeah.
period of time. And that's where stuff fails most of the time. I mean, that's where Starship was failing before with the heat shield. But now they're
Yeah.
just running into, I don't know if it's like production issues, but with the redesign, like the new version of Starship, it just keeps like leaking fuel and then one of the engines fails and something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's always something. And then recently like even with the I think is it the SpaceX's recent ship, what is that called? Yeah.
Recent ship.
The recent rocket. The one where they catch it with
No, that's Starship.
the
That's what I'm
chops.
talking about.
That
Yeah.
is Starship. Um, didn't they have like another problem when they tried to land it in the chopsticks again? Like they couldn't catch it the second time?
No, they've caught everyone that's gone for this chopsticks.
I thought the recent one they couldn't land it in the chopstick, so they just landed in the ocean.
Oh, that was like 4 ago, I think that you're thinking of.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
They there was one where it took off and the
Yeah,
rocket exhaust damaged some antennas on the top of the tower, so they lost
yeah.
communication and weren't going to be able to like directly monitor and control the tower. So they aborted the tower landing and just had it land in the ocean offshore.
Okay, okay.
So there's like
Oh,
a
so that was
whole set of
four,
checks they have
already
to
four
do.
launches. That was already 4 launches ago.
I don't know, or something like that. The last 3 that have blown up were not that one, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
Have you seen the videos of the blown up ones?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
I
like
saw, I saw.
people down in the Caribbean or look up in
Yeah,
the sky and just see like
yeah. No,
space
that's
debris.
crazy, dude. From how far you can see it.
Yeah. They had to divert a bunch of flights because of one of them because it wasn't that high up and there was definitely debris raining.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Go around the debris.
But yeah, they're just struggling to get into space at this point,
Yeah,
which is wild because it started off way better than that. They've kind of gone backwards.
yeah. It's like they've regressed a little bit. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I guess it is like as they say, like it is rocket science. Like this shit is
Yeah.
difficult, but like it's also clear that it's like the more money you spend on it, it's usually like the problems get easier. But maybe it's getting to this point where it's like even SpaceX is like so automated. Maybe like one parts of their system like aren't up to standard because like they've actually been setting up this infrastructure, right? It's like maybe pieces here and there aren't as precise as they should be,
Well,
because they're
and
the product cheaper.
at this point, though, Starship isn't meant to be this massive, precise endeavor. Like, it is
Yeah.
going to get
Yeah.
there eventually, but they're just still building steel silos out in the desert in Texas.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's steel silos with tanks inside, and there's nothing else. There's no other interior. Some of them have had a payload bay door, and some of them have had the heat shield for re-entry. But
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part, they're still just that base thing. And they're building them as cheap as they can. So if this does keep happening, it's not the biggest thing. But
Yeah.
they have gotten pretty good at welding them, though. Like the difference between the first prototypes and what the welds look like now is kind of insane.
What do you mean like the seams are like gone kind of thing?
Yeah,
Or
like you
like
used to be able to see like wrinkles in the metal, and now it's perfectly
yeah,
smooth, and the seams are like a lot cleaner.
interesting. I wonder how they do that stuff. I was just seeing how I was watching a Jerry Rig everything video and like how they have this like really really strong glue that they use which basically like binds metal parts together. Like you don't
Yeah,
even need screws. It's like it just binds like the two pieces of metal together stronger than a screw,
yeah.
which is pretty crazy. I
Yeah.
wonder if they do that on the rockets too.
I'm just gonna send you a picture. But it's like what they've learned to do with the metal versus one of the first prototypes.
Look.
It's just like a side by side picture.
Oh, that's crazy. Like there used to be like straight up gaps almost.
Well, the gap is the old payload bay door.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay.
It's not like a problem like they built it that wrong that there's a 30
Yeah,
foot
yeah,
gap in the middle of it.
yeah. I,
It's
I
not
imagine
that.
it wouldn't even be able to fucking take off if
I
there's
to
actually.
be honest, I don't know why it's like circled in that either. But like
Yeah,
that, see how you can see like the waviness of the metal through the old one?
yeah,
And they've
yeah,
just
yeah.
gotten that much better at working with the metal. But I don't know. It would be cool if we could go back. It just seems like everything's taking longer and longer regarding it.
Dude, I was also seeing like how just like there's flat earthers. I've been seeing that people believe like the moon's hollow.
Dude, the moon, you could say whatever you want about the moon though. No one knows.
Dude, that's crazy. How would the moon be hollow? What the
How
fuck?
wouldn't the moon be hollow?
I mean, it like what we learned in science class, right?
What
Like how does a moon,
foundational knowledge do you have that the moon is not hollow?
basic math, basic physics.
Why? How does that
So
tell you it's not
basically,
hollow?
so basically, when you do basic physics, right? Like based on like the diameter of a planet,
Yeah,
you can determine like when that curvature starts to happen, right? So you see like how curved the moon is.
yeah,
Once objects get beyond like a certain diameter, they're forced to become a ball shape, right? Like
yeah.
just by the forces of gravity, right? So that means that the gravity was strong enough to make almost a perfect ball out of the moon, right?
But the
So
moon's
that
not
means
a
it has to,
perfect ball. It's like an egg.
I mean, it's a really, I mean, it's pretty close, right? Like that naturally happened through gravity, right?
No,
Like I
it's more oblong than like you'd think, because the Earth pulls it down and stretches it. And it
yeah,
always,
yeah,
so the
but
dark side always faces away from the Earth, so it's in the same
yeah,
orientation all the time. So one side is
yeah.
constantly getting pulled and the other one's not.
Yeah, but I mean, it's mostly it's pretty close to a sphere, right? Like it's definitely compared to other moons. Like I've seen like moons like on Mars and like the moons of Jupiter and shit, right? Like they're really like misshapen, right? They're not completely spheres. But like the moon is almost a sphere, right? Like let's say it's egg shaped a little bit, but it's like it's almost there. It's like rounded. So that means its own gravity compressed it into that shape, right? So it's like there it's almost impossible that it's hollow. I mean, that's some basic physics I learned
But
back in AP physics, you know.
no, but all I'm saying is, so you said its own gravity formed it into that shape. What if it didn't?
Yeah.
What if someone built a giant hollow ball and let it go in space and it got trapped around Earth?
Okay, so
What
you're
foundational
rolling.
knowledge do you have that says that didn't happen? No,
I mean,
I'm just making the point of no one knows. Like people have
I'm sure.
different theories about stuff, but no one actually knows how it was formed.
Yeah, I mean the I think the leading theory is that like some asteroid hit, right, and then split off like a giant piece of the Earth type of thing
Well,
early on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but all I'm saying is like we don't know that it's not hollow. If it was hollow, my assumption then wouldn't be that it was naturally
I
hollow. It
mean,
would be someone
if
built
yeah, if it's
something
hollow,
hollow.
then it definitely had to be like an artificial construction, right?
Well,
It's
yeah.
like the Death Star, you know, or something like that,
No,
basically.
but I'm just saying, like, we have nothing
Yeah.
to prove that it's not that.
Yeah, I guess, and we haven't even seen the other side of the moon. Also, like the moon is really interesting, right? Like as they say, like we always only see one side of the moon. Like,
Yeah.
why is that? You know?
What it's because it's tidally locked with
Yeah.
the Earth.
No, exactly. So why is it tidally exactly like why is it tidally locked?
What
It could just be an
because
artificial
it's the
object.
perfect size and at the perfect distance for that.
Dude, it's so crazy. Like
This is one of
that
the things
perfect
that
size
don't
and
make
distance is like
sense about
it's
the
like the
moon.
crazy thing
Is that it's
about it,
the
right?
perfect size, the
Yeah.
perfect distance. We get full solar eclipses. It also controls the tides perfectly.
Yeah. And it's also at like that perfect ratio of like 108. Right? Have you seen that ratio where it's like
108.
I think the distance from the Earth to the moon from the I think like the Earth to the sun or something like that is like 108 times the distance, and
Oh,
then
I
even
don't
like
know
the
the number,
diameter.
but yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why we can
Yeah,
have total solar eclipses. That's why it
yeah,
works.
and it's also like something where like the diameter of like the moon to the Earth and then the Earth to the sun is like 108 like relationship to like basically 108 is like a big like symbol between the Earth, moon, and the sun, right?
Yeah.
And then what's interesting is that's like actually like a important symbol in like Buddhism
Yeah.
because of that relationship. It's like they knew that relationship like all the way back in the day. You
No,
know,
there
it's
have
like
been a bunch of historical
yeah,
findings that people understood that relationship.
yeah,
Like I think there are like Egyptian hieroglyphs that show it. Because the
yeah,
Egyptians had knowledge of the stars. Like they built the
yeah.
pyramids pointing at stars and
No, dude, and it totally makes sense, right? It's like we've lost like kind of that connection to the sky. I feel like a little bit because like we're always in like cities, like, and we're exposed to like light pollution, right? It's like we don't experience like the sky the same anymore. It's
No,
like they didn't have TV, they didn't have phones, they didn't even have like light, right?
no, you
The
just
only
had
thing that was
fire.
bright was like the stars and the moon. You
Yeah,
know, it's like it totally made sense how much more significant that was back then.
yeah. No, people could. What else are you gonna do at night? Walk outside and
Yeah.
look up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's people knew about it before it was discovered by our current selves.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just that's another thing that makes it seem like, well, how do you know it's not put there or built by something?
I don't know,
It
man.
just so happened to be so perfect for all of this.
No, but yeah, and then so I mean the other side of it is like the same thing with aliens, right? It's like this survivor bias, right? The fact that it is perfect is why we exist in the first place, right? It's like we have some bias that, oh, it should this should be a lot easier. There should be more versions of this out. There should be more examples of this, right? But
Yeah.
it's like we're the only ones that did survive. So it's like we're biased, of course, like we think it should be possible again, but maybe the odds are stacked against us, you know.
Well, it's literally like one in a million.
Yeah.
Like, why would it just end up being perfect? And I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know how much, like, you know, if the moon was slightly smaller or slightly larger, other than affecting solar eclipses, I don't know how much of an effect it would actually have on livability on Earth. Like, as long as it
Yeah.
moved tides a little bit. I mean, to be fair, I might be totally wrong. The Earth might, like, start to
No, I
burn
mean
down and
it might
explode,
change everything. Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah.
not positive.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I imagine if it was just a slight difference, it's not going to be the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah. I mean, there also might be I mean, it might shift a lot of things, right? Like it might have some even effect on like the tectonic plates, you
Yeah.
know, even to the slightest degree, you know, because it's like the oceans, that shit moves on top of like the surface of like the magma, right? Like on the mantle. So it's like that would probably get affected by the moon size to some degree. Um
Well, they haven't, I don't think anyone's confirmed the moon has a molten core. I think it has a solid core.
no, I was talking about like the Earth's tectonic plates,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
right? Like there should be some pull on that, even though if it's like minute, I feel like it could do something, you know,
Oh, well, yeah,
because that's
the Earth and the moon
that
are
causes like
intertwined.
mountain formation, valley formation, right? All sorts of shit. Like the tectonic plates is like a huge factor on like I feel like that shapes how life was formed too, probably to some degree.
Well, I do too. I'm just saying, you know, if there
Yeah.
was no moon, I don't think there would be no tectonic plates. Like fault lines and stuff exist on other planets with the solid
Yeah, yeah,
crust,
yeah.
which also have moons. Like, what if we had four moons? Would Earth
Yeah,
really
that
be
would be
that different? Would we just have four moons and four different tides, and they would all be smaller?
yeah, I feel like they would also like counteract each other, and then sometimes they'd like join, and we'd have like these massive tidal shifts.
Yeah.
Like that would go crazy, actually.
So I don't know. I'm just like I think Earth could have still evolved, but other
Yeah,
things might have had to change for life to be possible. But I don't know. It would be interesting to actually go and see what the moon is, but we're never gonna know.
no.
But like the other thing about the moon is, have you heard of the whole thing where NASA smashed a satellite or a probe directly into the surface?
Yeah, I that's where it comes from, right? Like I think
Because it
that's where
rings like a
like you
bell.
said, yeah, it rings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
which
that
I'm like,
was interesting because like Earth, I mean, there's like vibrations on Earth, but Earth doesn't ring
yeah.
like that. But we don't know if that's because it's hollow. That could also just be because it's solid throughout.
I did. I wonder like so there had to be like some resonance going on, right? It might even be the structure of the moon itself, right?
Well,
With
we don't
material.
know what material it's made of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it's made of like some kind of crystalline structure, then it could just ring,
Yeah.
right? That would just make sense.
But then
Even
that points towards metal.
yeah,
And metal isn't that pure in nature all the time. So then it's like, why is all
Yeah,
the
it's like
metal
how this
there? Why is
giant
it so
sphere
perfect?
of metal spinning around the
Then
Earth.
we're
Yeah.
back to someone might have built the moon.
It's like, okay, wait, it is a Death Star then.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Like there are multiple paths that could lead you there.
Dude,
I'm
I
not
mean, this
saying
is
I'd
why we
ride or
need to
die
go.
for it, but
This is
we
why we
don't
need to go to
know.
the dark side of the moon. This is why we need to go to the dark side of the moon and confirm. That's where they say, okay, so going deeper into this moon is hollow theory is that they say that some kind of alien or like future human or something, they have a base on the dark side of the moon, and they know we'll never explore the dark side of the moon because it's like we're not spending the money for it.
Well, that's also just like, I mean, sure, no one knows because no one's been there. So I
Yeah,
could tell you there's a Coney Island on the far side of the moon. And I think, like, to me, that holds as much weight. Like,
I
you
mean
know?
it's the same thing as like Atlantis. It's like they say like there's still another Atlantis somewhere, in the ocean, and we haven't mapped like any of the ocean, so it's
At
like you
this
could say
point, we've actually mapped a good amount of the ocean floor. There's been like projects ongoing with underwater drones.
Oh, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I think we
They're
looked it up.
getting better. It's no longer
Yeah.
like in the single percents.
Yeah.
But we're mapping a lot more of the ocean floor. I do not think there is an Atlantis. But look, my whole thing about this is like
Yeah.
it's all hearsay unless you can show me evidence. So like if you tell me there's a superhuman race living in a base on the far side of the moon, that's fiction until you can show me a reason for you thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if there's no backing to it, I'm going to take it with just as much weight as if I walked up to you and said, "Yeah, there's lizard people living on the bottom of the ocean." Cuz like I granted no one knows, I don't know, but I know you don't know,
I
you
know, I
know?
definitely don't.
Well, and not necessarily you, but figuratively you, anyone saying that also doesn't know unless
Yeah.
somehow they're a billionaire with their own space company that no one's seen or ever heard of and they went, which
Yeah.
I'm finding less likely than anything else. So I'm just like, people don't know.
Man, I'm just saying that we need to go back to the moon, man. They need to put more investment towards the moon. I think that if this AI stuff actually works out, maybe we will eventually put money back towards the moon. Um, but I don't know. I'm starting to feel like this AI stuff actually isn't working at all.
No.
And it's way more further out than we even thought. Like
Go ask
a lot of
Borg.
like yeah, dude, a lot of like the hype that was going on, or like, oh, like we'll have something like really powerful by like 2030. But I realized that, oh, this is all the AI people are saying this, right? So of course
Yeah.
they're gonna say, oh, it's gonna come sooner than it actually is, you know?
Well, yeah,
So
they want people to invest. They want people to pay for their services.
yeah,
Oh, look how good we're getting at everything. Just keep paying. You'll see the real cool one soon.
yeah, but in reality, it's like when it's doing really difficult, complicated stuff, it's like it doesn't pan out, you know?
No.
So
Like if you told it to go and make you a video game from scratch,
yeah,
it wouldn't succeed.
yeah,
It would not know what to do. You'd probably get like what I would consider to be a single class, like
mhm,
just a straight document of code written and not
yeah.
separated correctly, and it would probably have a bunch of errors and bugs in it. And
No,
that's
I
if
mean,
it would even
yeah.
compile.
No, it probably won't even compile off the
Yeah.
bat. That's most of my experience with it. It's like when it's doing anything, even minutely complicated
Yeah.
and not straightforward, it has no clue what the fuck is going on.
No. Not at all.
So it's like that I've been having this problem recently. It's like I really have to like break down the problem sometimes more than I want to for it to even get a correct output. And I'm like, at
No,
that point,
yeah.
I'm myself sometimes.
Cuz you have to be
Yeah.
like you have to go granular.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ridiculously granular. Like say you wanted to make a chess game. You have to
Hmm.
tell it like design a game with a GUI that looks like squares that are this many pixels by this many pixels and there's this many in each row and each column.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you get a class for the board, the GUI
Hmm.
for the board. And then you're like, okay, now I need a piece. It can only move one of these spaces at a time. Each of the spaces are different colors, or I don't know. Well, you input whatever the piece can do.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you have to explain it step by step to it. You can't let it assume anything.
No, 100%. Yeah, so I think it's still far out from doing like any long horizon tasks. Like any short horizon like single answer, it's like pretty good with that. Like if it's just answering one thing, even follow-ups like I think once you do like 3 follow-ups, it starts to like lose its, validity. Like it's already starts hallucinating and stuff like that and like loses context.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, dude, I think that's way further out. So then if that's let's say 10 years out rather than 5 years like a lot of them are saying, then going to the moon, I think it's like another 10 years out from that probably, even though that might accelerate it a little bit.
I don't
So I
think
think we're
necessarily
20
that
we might be 20 years out from the moon.
I don't think we're that far out. I don't think any of it hinges on AI. It's not
So
like they're struggling with problems that only AI could solve. They have
so
2 rockets that are
yeah,
99% of the way there. They just aren't safe enough to be human rated at this point. But I
but yeah,
think
so that's my point, right? Like so when are they going to invest more to make these 100% safe? Are they going to do it within the next 5 years then, do you think?
well, it sounded like you were saying it's not going to be another 20 years because we won't have AI for another 10, but I don't think it's pivotal on AI. I don't think that's going to go into the equation. Like it might help with some stuff, but I don't think if you
No,
said
yeah.
AI no longer exists, I don't think
Yeah.
it massively affects that timeline. They just need to figure out what's going wrong. And
No, so
like
I'm
you
I'm
said,
just saying, yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
great
go ahead.
at the big horizon stuff, so I don't think
Yeah.
you could just give it a bunch of raw data from a space launch and be like, "Tell me what went wrong."
Yeah. No, I'm just saying like it'd probably make it cheaper, right? Like I'm not even saying like it might even speed up the timeline. It'll just make the entire process cheaper, right? So like whatever they're automating right now, they could automate more of it, right? Basically where it's fully automated outside of maybe like the design and some of the key details, probably you still need a
I
human in
mean,
the loop. Some of,
what
you
what
know.
are they automating though? I just don't see what you're gaining there, to be totally honest. So you're gonna
But
kick a
whatever.
bunch of people out of jobs for designing
Yeah.
stuff for it and let it all
Yeah.
be designed by a computer. Who's gonna go check the computer's work, or are we just assuming the computer's always right?
Well, so it'll just be able to like search through like large prompt spaces faster, right? I don't think like you even need to reduce the workforce that much. It's like it'll just be able to search like let's say you're trying to design like like some new material or whatever, right? So now it can like search through this large space of materials and then find a better material for heat shielding. It can like simulate this the rocket better, right? So then you'll have better simulations, stuff like that, basically, right? That's what I'm thinking. It's in terms of tooling. Once you have that kind of tooling where it's like okay, it's doing some kind of like automated stuff to like help you figure that shit out faster, it'll like make the process cheaper, make everyone work faster, basically.
Do you think it
um
would actually be able to answer a materials question though? Because it's not just like I need a material to hold up to this temperature. It's
yeah.
like I need a material to hold up to this temperature well under this
Mhm.
tensile strength. Um,
Yeah.
it can't break, it can't crack, it can't shatter when it gets hot, it can't
Yeah.
ablate, it needs to be fully reusable, and it
Mhm.
has to withstand vibrations on both takeoff and landing that are
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous, as well as hypersonic winds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, exactly.
I just think that's too dynamic for it.
So that's what they'd have to do, right? End to end, they'd have to automate each piece of that, right? Like, okay, how are you doing like the material construction in the first place, right? How you're combining these metals. Okay, automate that piece and then basically automate piece by piece until that whole work through process is complete, right? And then that can basically test all, spatial options. And then I'm sure there's even like material simulation at this point too, because they're starting to do like I think recently they created this thing called like chemical simulation where they are literally just simulating how different chemical reactions can happen, right? And
So
apparently this is becoming really accurate already,
Well,
right?
well,
I'm sure they could do some of that to material eventually too.
I don't think any of this will happen then until we have full on available quantum computers and powerful ones.
Oh, like it fully
You're never
accurate.
doing a correct
Yeah.
chemical or material or physics simulation with a normal computer.
Yeah.
There's always going to be
Yeah.
error.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Um,
definitely.
so then you're waiting for that, and I think that's further
No, I
away
mean,
too.
so I mean that's not the point too, right? Like the whole point is to like narrow the search space, right? It's like you're gonna find the best possible ones. So instead of like searching like 300 different materials, it narrows it down to 10 materials, right? And
No,
then that's
but
where the people will actually look into those 10 rather than wasting their time looking through 300. You get what I'm saying? Like
no, yeah,
it'll be more
but
like that.
I'm just like, at least for the current ships we were talking about for the moon,
Yeah.
none of them need
Yeah.
that. They have the material, they built them, they've launched them. They aren't going and looking
Yeah,
for new
no, I mean,
materials to
yeah, I
build it
mean,
out of.
but like in terms of like progressing like the rocket, right? Like we're saying like the rocket has so many problems. There will be a point where it's like, okay, let's try to look for new materials,
Well,
right? Like
yeah.
that wasn't like my main point. It's like that was an example of like one of the problems it could help solve, you know? Um, but I mean, so do you think like they're actually gonna figure this out within the next 5 years then, like based on the problems it currently has?
I think so. If SpaceX can figure out their problem, they'll have to
Yeah.
do like 3 more test launches, during
Yeah.
which they'll probably start launching Starlink, the new flat Starlinks from
Hmm.
Starship.
Hmm.
Then they need to do propellant transfer, so where they launch one Starship, then
Yeah.
launch a second tanker Starship and refuel the first one in orbit. And once
Oh,
they
that's
can
that's
do
crazy.
that, then they can
Yeah.
start getting ready to send one to the moon. So I think the ship will be up and flying in less than five
Yeah.
years, but I don't know if we'll be headed for the moon. But I think 20 is a little long. Unless
20's a
like,
little.
and so NASA's funding might get
Yeah.
pulled, but SpaceX's won't. Because
Yeah,
SpaceX
yeah,
just
like they'll
funds
keep going.
themselves off the
Yeah,
Falcon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. No, dude, like, I was watching those videos, like, not to get into all that, but I was watching those videos of on like how the B-2 bombers were like refueling midair.
Yeah. It's
I
a
was like, dude,
AC
that's pretty sick. So like,
KC-130
you'd basically do
tanker.
that with like you'd basically do that with the rockets.
It's
That'd be
way
sick.
different with the rockets,
How does it work with
actually.
the rockets?
So the plan, at least for Starship, is they're going to
Yeah,
use the base of the ship to do it,
yeah,
since it doesn't
yeah.
have landing legs. So the
Hmm.
bottom's flat and has like the quick disconnect hardware from when it's on the ground too. So the two
Yeah,
starships will come together, engines first, like the bays first, and they'll be able to transfer propellant through their like ground support system, is what I believe it was.
oh, interesting,
But like
interesting.
they'll
Okay.
dock to each other,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a lot different in space because you don't have like turbulence. You just have to maneuver there and get connected, and then you're just a single object.
Yeah, yeah. Then you're just you have one piece of inertia basically.
Hmm.
That's cool. That's sick, dude. Dude, yeah, we need to do more space stuff, man. There's so much I feel like that we could start learning once we go to space.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see what it brings
Yeah.
in the next few
Yeah.
years.
No, and I mean
Also,
a huge thing too. Yeah. Yeah, go
or
ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're Rod. I didn't know. There's a comment from
Oh,
Rod. I
is
didn't know how
Robert
long
here?
ago it's
How long
from,
ago? How long ago was
or if he's still here. To be totally honest,
that? Oh
but
man.
just want to say
Uh,
hi. Saw it there.
no, dude. Another thing they were talking about was that apparently, I don't know how true this is. Apparently, there's like a wormhole near the moon. I don't know. I don't know how real
That
that
was a
is.
whole news story thing. I don't
Is
know.
that a real thing?
Uh, I forget exactly what the whole story with that was.
Yeah, there was something with that. I think
I'd have
something
to
where they
like look it
shot like
up here.
they planned to like shoot a nuke in space or something like that, and then it just disappeared. I think that's something with the story. I can't remember. Um, But I'm like, how real is that? If that's real, then how come we haven't? We should have done this like way longer. Like we should have done this ages ago if there is already a wormhole there. Do you find anything on it?
As of March 5th, 2024, NASA has stated they have not found any wormholes. It looks like at one point there was a simulation run that depicted that there could be a wormhole near the moon,
Yeah.
and people took that and ran.
Did anyone rerun this simulation? Like, can we find out? Like, how did they find that?
I don't know, dude. They ran a random simulation and we can't simulate physics. So for me,
Yeah.
that's also random. It's probably not right.
Yeah.
There's
So
probably
maybe
no
it is.
wormhole. We've not
Yeah.
been
Maybe
able
it's
to
just some
observe
like
it.
bad. Yeah. It's just some bad simulation then.
But like, we're
Uh,
never going to guess how that program got there. But
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if there is a wormhole there, dude, like then we should have sent something, way sooner. So I'm guessing
well,
they're
if
actually.
if there was actually a wormhole,
Yeah.
I do think it would energize things, and people would be like, "Let's go visit the wormhole and do science on the wormhole."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it ended up being that it wasn't a real thing, that it just kind of
Mm,
got forgotten about.
yeah. Yeah.
Because according to that, what I just read, it was never a real thing. NASA just released some stuff that said they ran a simulation. And then there were a bunch
Yeah.
of people who were like, oh my God, there's a wormhole around the moon. And they were like,
Yeah.
we said we ran this specific type of simulation. It was not real life. And then people were like,
Yeah.
real wormhole. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, if it was there, then we definitely need to look at it. I mean, I think at minimum we need to figure out how to do is find the nearest black hole. I wonder if like,
The nearest black hole, we know where it is.
do we know where it is?
Well, yeah, we've mapped like star systems around our solar system, and we know the closest planets, stars. I assume we know the closest black hole.
Let's try to find this out. What's the closest black hole?
It's not close, I'll tell you that. It might be the center of the Milky Way.
Okay, so it's the closest known. So there might be something closer.
Well,
1,000.
they are hard to observe too, because they bend
Yeah,
light.
1,560 light years away.
1,560?
That's not bad.
1,560 light years is a lot of light years.
That's a lot of light years, but it's not bad though. Like I thought it was way further, but I was like 1,000. Okay, like maybe like a space civilization. You think humans? Let's say we sent, I don't know. Let's say 100,000 somehow. Somehow we built a ship that could take 100,000 humans, or even multiple ships, right? We sent off 100,000 humans. Do you think they could survive for 1,500 years?
No. In a ship?
No.
It would be Wall-E.
Yeah.
No. So the only way to do this is to make the trip shorter than that. But that's
Yeah,
the
you're right.
problem is even if you can go the speed of light, the trip is that length. And that's
Yeah,
if you can go the speed of light. If you can only go 99% the speed of light, then it's like 7,000 years.
Okay, so let's say they even did those things where they make those cylinders or whatever, right? Where you have like artificial gravity and shit like that. Do
Yeah.
you think like just humanity in general could survive for 1,500 years in space?
Maybe. I mean, your bigger problem with like building something like that is
Yeah.
projectiles, because you get like specks of sand traveling at half the speed of sound, which is
Yeah.
faster than we've ever seen anything travel, and that'll just punch holes and stuff. Not
Yeah.
necessarily blow it up, but that's a lot of energy hitting something. So when you build things that big in space, you run into the fact that they just get shredded like that because there's nothing to slow stuff
Oh,
down.
yeah.
So like the International Space Station gets holes in it all the time,
You would
and
need
it's
some kind
not
of
even
like
that big.
shielding. You need some kind of
Yeah,
shielding or
so
something.
we have to figure out force fields
Yeah.
before that'll work. So I'm not super confident in us doing
That's
force
actually
fields,
crazy, dude.
but
Yeah, no, like that's something we totally like disregard with space travel. Is like, yeah, we need something to protect us from like all this stuff that's just like flying around, especially if you're going really, really high speed, right? Like it's like
Oh, well,
in
you need a
Star
force
Wars.
field anyway to try to get near
Yeah,
the speed of light, or else a speck of dust is going to destroy the front of your ship and cause it to explode.
it's like in Star Wars, like these rinky dink freaking ships are like somehow like
They have force fields.
going like hyper speed,
No,
like
no, but so, and it's also like
yeah,
warp,
yeah.
and it's not, or they say
They,
go into light speed, I guess.
I
But
think don't they say like hyper speed or something like that? I can't remember.
I
Something like
want to
that.
say it's light speed. But either way,
Like
they talk regularly in every Star Wars about ships having
yeah,
shields, like
yeah,
all powered to forward
yeah. They all
shields.
got
They
shields.
all have
Yeah,
shields. They figure out force
yeah,
fields. The ship can be a piece of crap inside that as long as it has a force field.
yeah, yeah. Dude, yeah, we're never figuring out force field. Like, how would you figure that out?
We could figure out force fields. I don't know how, or I would have figured out force fields, but
I'm so doubtful. I feel like that technology is so far off force field. Like
maybe that's what
that's
your
really
AI
like
can
just
be used
some kind of
for.
invisible. It's an invisible shield that can deflect anything. Like what kind
Well,
of thing would do
that's a very, I don't know if I would say it's that. It's not that in Star Wars. In Star
that? It
Wars, it can
basically is.
only absorb so much energy until it fails.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
So, like, if
it's
you flew a ship
most
into
stuff,
another ship, your
right?
shield's not.
Yeah, but it can deflect like most space debris, lasers,
I wouldn't even
right? So
say
that's
that. I think
basically
if you fly it into a big rock, you're still screwed. But it'll take care of, like, bullets, like shells
yeah,
and stuff, uh, at least somewhat. But I think the point of them is more to just stop tiny things that'll destroy your ship at every second because they're all over.
yeah. But even the tiny thing, right, going at speed of light is like infinite force, right? So it's like
Well, it's not infinite force.
it basically is infinite. Like
Well,
it's an
it's never going to go the speed of light.
incalculable
It's
force.
going to
Yeah,
go 99.9% the speed of light. But you can calculate the force. A grain of sand
yeah.
hitting
I
the
mean, if
earth
it's
or
not,
something
yeah,
is
if it's
something
not
like
going,
8 billion joules, or I don't know. It was 8
yeah, if it's not
something
going speed of
joules.
light, then you can calculate it. Yeah, yeah.
Because
But
it
it's like
can't
if you
go the
are,
speed of light. It just can't go the speed of light. Nothing can go the speed of light unless our
yeah.
laws of physics are wrong. So it
Well, I mean,
can't go the
if
speed
you
of
have
light.
if you have infinite energy, you could go speed of light.
But a grain of sand doesn't because it has no energy. Because there's no, it's a grain of sand. It's not a spaceship.
What do you mean?
So you were like, if you have infinite energy, you could go the
Yeah,
speed of light.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
your ship is
I
gonna
don't even
go
know if that's theoretically
theoretically.
possible because the whole
Yeah,
issue with going the speed of light is time slows down as you get closer to the speed of light. So time would stop as you get to the speed of light as well. And then you just can't get there. You'll
yeah,
never expend enough energy quick enough to get there. It's an impossible feat to grasp, even if you have unlimited energy.
yeah.
But like
Oh, yeah. I mean,
a grain of sand is not that. Chances are a grain of sand is never getting accelerated to 99.9% the speed of light.
yeah.
So,
Well, no, I was saying like your ship would be going that fast, so it wouldn't matter how fast the sand is going.
well, okay, that's fair too, but
Like okay, I mean, let's say you even go, let's say we say 99%, right?
we just don't know the values of the force fields. We just know we need a force field,
The
okay?
the force field would need to be insane. Basically, all I'm saying is like it would need to deflect almost anything. Like because the forces involved would be so high, right? Unless we develop some kind of like gravity based movement, right? So like let's say we just affect the gravity around us,
Well,
then I
that's
feel
going to be
like
the solution, but yeah.
yeah, I think like that's the only way to actually move without being in danger,
You could argue
basically.
that's a force
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, maybe that's a force field. That'd
We
be
don't
like
know
us
what a force
shooting on
field
the
is, otherwise we would have made it. So,
gravitons or some shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But yeah, let's go back to the moon. Let's do
Yeah,
it
man,
before
we
the
need to go,
next 20
man.
years. Before
I
2050,
I've,
go to the
I've kind of
moon.
lost faith, dude. Humanity like has no curiosity about space anymore, man. Like everyone's just on their phone, dude. Like I think that's what humanity's got into, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck, us.
Yeah, dude. Like what the heck, man? Like they have no curiosity about. I feel like no one cares about like aliens anymore. No one cares about space and the moon. You know, it's like that hype is gone. Someone needs to like re-hype space, like they're doing with AI.
Well, space just had their hype. It just died back down a little bit.
Yeah, I guess it
Space
was
hype
kind of
was
cool.
like
Yeah,
pandemic
yeah,
when
it was kind of
SpaceX
cool for a
first
little.
landed the Falcon, and now
Yeah,
it's just become more routine again, and people are less interested until something
yeah. It's
cool
like we like
happens.
the small breakthroughs kind of thing. It's like we need more small breakthroughs to keep us engaged.
But I think they'll get there with the Artemis program eventually. It'll just take
Yeah,
some more
yeah.
time. But I don't think it's going to be 20 years. So fingers crossed. But
I hope it's not 20 years, man. That was my like skeptical outlook on where we're at with space exploration.
fair, fair. But
Yeah,
fingers crossed anyway.
yeah. Let's hope, man. Let's
Let's
hope.
hope it's next 5. But I'm thinking let's go ahead and wrap on up here.
Yeah, dude. We held it down, man. We
We
held it
did.
down.
We did.
This is
Putting
pretty good.
some time, putting some work.
Yeah.
You got any quote that's striking you?
A quote? I don't know about a quote. If you have one,
I
give it a
used
shot.
all my random ones when I was the only one who had them for forever. So I could say one that randomly comes to me, but I feel like I've said all the ones that randomly pop into my head.
Um, I mean, yeah. I mean, go for it, dude. Something random. To infinity and beyond.
There it is. There's a quote. I was still looking for a random one to pop into my head. We're going Buzz Lightyear. Have a good one.